let's get into some of the fun stuff. I seen a couple of like CNN articles and everything else. They said this was the tweet heard around the world last week. And y'all see Mr. Vivek. I don't even know how to say his name. The only people with that last name
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy.
Look, he locked in. He know. He like, I've been saying this man's name all week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read what he said, and then we'll start the dialogue there, and then we'll cover what Elon said about him being in America, and then we'll just start talking about idealism and are the H-1Bs doing the same thing to white collar work like we've seen the legal immigrants do to blue collar work? I see the parallels there. So let me read this real quick and we'll get into that. The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. And I kind of want to pause with this. Like, he had no data to quantify that. I feel like he just threw the 90s out because he can then say for 30 years. That doesn't start in college. It starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zach and Slater over Screech in Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel and Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Fact, I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actually limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows precisely because they promoted mediocrity, and their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kind of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy is what you will achieve. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s or even now who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. This could be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from the slumber before and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiest over conformity, hard work over laziness. That's the work we have cut out for us. Rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence, I'm confident we can do it. And so I'm gonna stop right there because if I just go through the thread, you'll see like all this different stuff that they're talking about over here.
The flags at the end is sending me.
Right.
So,
Bro, was hurt.
it was a lot going on there. It was it was a lot going on there.
I'll let you go first, Destiny.
I will go second because I'm rereading it to figure out what I want to point out first that he said that made me mad.
I was like, why he pulled out. I think the issue with his, it's like very extremism. He didn't exercise the thought of duality to where somebody could kind of be both. Like, not even both, but in a sense, like, why I got to just be, everybody want to be like Steve Urkel, but you can't also do regular stuff that everybody would do. That's the whole reason why those people probably they never run the company for most of the time. Like, they are very skilled, but they have poor social skills. So there's always a balance that's needed in both. And I think he's just harping on like the very extremes. I didn't even watch Saved by the Bell. That's before my time. Of course, I did watch Family Matters a little bit, but who didn't?
Yeah.
No,
go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
I think I was going to say this too, is that I noticed that there's a larger need or a more important need for people who have both technical and like personable skills. So you see a lot of technical project and product managers getting more positions as well. I think that when it comes to the culture, really what it's just saying is that like, oh, people from other cultures are focusing in on studying and focusing in on science, technology, engineering, and math, when that's not necessarily the case for everybody. It's a lot of nuance when it comes to, the American culture or people in general. So he leaves out a lot of nuance in his tweet. Like, yeah, of course, you do have like the stereotypes, but as we already know, like as Black people in tech, we had to work really hard to be able to get to where we are today. And there's a lot of other people in tech who had to work hard to be able to get the experience, get the degrees, get the certifications. And that lack of nuance in his tweet really highlights the, I want to say, like ignorance in his standpoint. It's like, okay, yeah, you want to hire somebody who, like, the stereotype is that they're more skilled in science, technology, engineering, and math, but that doesn't mean that you don't get other valuable traits from focusing on other things. Like, being personable is something that allows for you to be able to make better decisions as opposed to only just taking orders. So, like how you said, HD, that most people who are only technical don't run the companies. You have to have a good balance of both.
Appreciate that. I definitely was trying to find a tweet where he was talking about affirmative action.
Yeah, I had a question. So many things that I have a question about here. So I don't know. The first one is, why are we using old American or 90s American TV shows as a barometer for judging if someone's going to be a good engineer or not? Like, I don't know why. Like, it's never come up during an interview. I mean, that's not something that has been Boy Meets World and who you like that compares it to somebody else. Why is that? I just don't understand why that's the standard that he's using to judge an entire culture of individuals' ability to be successful in engineering or a successful engineer. I mean, because if you look at cultural norms from some of the other foreign countries, I mean, so my father is from Nigeria, my mom is from America, right? Okay, how are Nigerians known within quote unquote tech or the digital spaces? They're known as scammers a lot of times, right? They said that they're a king from some Nigerian village and they want to give you $1 million or something, right? Am I going to use that cultural, I don't know, inconsistency as a way to judge the entirety of the Nigerians? No, that don't make sense. I don't know. It just is very using television shows and somewhat social norms that are potentially agreed upon. I don't think it's a good barometer to measure if someone's going to be a good engineer or not.
Yeah, you know what, Gabe?
That sounds crazy.
To add on to that is that usually things that don't make sense are a lie.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if he's lying. I think he might believe this. I think he might believe that if you prefer one over the other, then you're hey guys, I see you're coming in to the interview. Which one do you like? Quick, Slater or Zach or I don't know who are the names here. What's Zach or Screech or something? All right, you said Zach. I think we're gonna have to end the interview. Nobody like that's never come up during an interview. I'm sorry, it's never come up.
And I also think that they leave out like a big component, but even just the oppression of some cultures, right? Everybody isn't in a place that even has STEM programs or camps. STEM isn't everywhere. It's not easily accessible for a lot of people that look like us. So, not giving folks credit for actually having the courage or the desire or passion or the curiosity to think outside what is actually normal for them or to want better than what they are used to seeing. I feel like he's leaving that piece out of it too, because that's a lot of our stories, our friends' stories, is we just wanted different. We wanted more. We wanted something else for ourselves than what we were used to. And who's to say we didn't watch Saved by the Bell or Family Matters or any other show? What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah. I was about to say, going back to what he just mentioned, both parts where you said, if it sounds crazy, it's probably a lie, and you saying, he might believe it. One thing that I am so thankful for, and I mentioned this in my conversation on the podcast, what was it, last week? One thing I'm so thankful for is my experience in Silicon Valley, specifically at Netflix, right, where you had a real opportunity. One, came in as an IC, but then I had an opportunity to break through to the management realm. And within that management realm, it's like, kind of the Wizard of Oz, right? Having an opportunity to see behind the curtain. And with that comes the ability to read between the lines of the corporate speak and the reality of, that time period that he mentioned, right? The 90s. That is specific to the arena or the area of the time frame in the United States where I'll never forget, in the 90s, my dad lost his job. He was laid off. He was working at IBM, and he lost his job to this subgroup that was offshored. He was a networking cabling guy, right, that would go into server rooms or whatever the case may be and recable things. And he lost his job, got laid off, got rehired as a contractor. His new manager was Indian. The entire team was Indian, right? And this was right around 99 and 2000. And the 90s kind of bleeding into the new millennium was the era where, America essentially decided, hey, we're going to start offshoring, right? As this new age internet thing is kind of taking off, right? So within that, him mentioning that era is kind of a, they have the racist dog whistles where they can say, Reagan had the welfare queen and everybody else has their own thing where they can mention. That, in my opinion, was a dog whistle where it provides an opportunity for people that are, in the if community to have an understanding of this is where we're going to categorize the current subset of workers that will be coming up from this generation. For example, right? Millennials. He's taking millennials in this tweet, in my opinion, and encapsulating us into this binder, categorizing us to say, hey, these are the folks whose parents didn't raise them right. These are the folks that, watch too much TV. These are the people that you will be seeing in your employment pipeline in the United States. But hey, you have an understanding, that these are the folks that were watching Saved by the Bell or Poker, whatever the case may be, right? They were not focused on engineering. Now we have an opportunity truly with Trump coming in to bring people in that were raised within the culture of engineering, were raised within, kind of pushed in the direction of excellence, right? Let's push away, let's move away. I think somebody said in the chat, the tweet is very anti-American. It is very anti-American, but it's also very American in a way because its sole focus is to delegitimize so many American people, but then, placing emphasis on capitalism in a way where we have an opportunity to bring over H-1B visa workers, pay them less, get rid of, this new class of CS people and people that are going to school in the United States for computer engineering that we would have to pay more, and then move towards a space where we're able to maximize profits for us. And that's all Vivek and Elon are focused on. In my opinion. So if you're able to read between the lines of this, I even made a post about it earlier on my page where I said, this is, in my opinion, the introduction of a new tech-led slave class where, if you work with an H-1B visa worker, for real, they will do what they told. They will not complain. They'll stay at the office as long as they have to. You can delegate as much. I've seen instances where people are just delegating stuff to them and they're like, yo, you can see the tiredness on their face. They won't complain. They won't go to HR because their immigration status is attached to their employment status. So, it's the perfect win for them. And then it's kind of left, us folks that are coming up that pipeline within the area that we are now, millennials in their age range that he delegitimized in their categorization. Yo, let's move away from them and let's get the folks offshore. So I don't want to talk too much, but yeah, it's a very asinine tweet for sure.
No, for sure. I mean, that's why I think I shared on my story on IG, and then right after that I said Bloomberg had made the post about Cognizant like hiring nothing but like the H-1Bs for their company, like most of them. So you see them doing that, and then you'll see, and this is not necessarily, it's not really the same thing, but it's related, of how if they get in positions of power, management, or whatever, hiring, they'll make sure your interview don't go well, so they can go ahead and send you the rejection email so they can get their people in. They'll do that as well too, because they know they'll come in for the low. I've seen that happen.
You know, I think it also grossly ignores the whole genre or a whole nother group of cartoons and TV shows that were very popular. Well, that were popular among some groups. Like, I mean, Bill Nye the Science Guy. Like, what happened to him? Or what happened to the Magic School Bus? Like, what happened to the Magic School Bus? Or what happened to Reading Rainbow?
What about Zoom?
What about Zoom? Yeah, Zoom. Yeah. Like, those were all very educational. Yeah. Come on, let's Zoom, man. I used to watch that. I used to watch it doing a little funny little what was it? They had a whole language that was like Pig Latin or something. I used to try to break it down, understand what the structure of the language was. My mom ain't know what I was saying. Or they did all types of little science projects on Bill Nye. So, you know, it's like he's ignoring other cartoons and television shows that were also popular. I mean, it's a gross generalization to say everybody was watching just these. And based upon people watching just these, this is a good barometer to judge folk. So,
but see that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, hate it or love it. His name is not popular right now, but I was young, so I didn't necessarily grow up on it. But I grew up on the reruns. A lot of people watched the Cosbys. A doctor and a lawyer was together, or we watched Fresh Prince. A judge,
Prince, lawyer,
I think
Family Matters, like Family Matters.
So I'm
Smart Guy. Oh, somebody just said in the chat, Smart Guy, right?
Smart Guy, yeah.
Smart Guy was
smart,
extremely popular. Yeah.
His dad was a business owner.
I know, like half these shows.
Smart.
Living single and living color. Folks in college, black people in college, going through their struggles.
Bro, the thing to me that I'm surprised now, and somebody may have, I was reading through the comments on the post on X or whatever. But the thing to me that's so absurd is the fact that I feel like he just put this out. He read it, he typed it, he read it, and he's like, this is good. But then it just screams insecurity in so many ways. It's literally like putting your insecurity as a say, for example, if you had an employee, right, that you were trying to figure out, and you were trying to figure out a way like, yo, this dude gotta go. And they're very mystique and quiet and everything else, right? They put something like this out. You're like, yo, this person is insecure in this specific area. This is a point. This guy literally highlighted every point of emphasis around insecurity that, you know, bothers him. He's talking about, you know, we don't uphold the mathematicians, or, you know, we aren't focused on people that succeed in, you know, the educational element. We're more focused on the jocks and stuff. You know, one easy, you know, point of contention is, take, for example, Andrew Luck. Dude went to Stanford, played football. I don't know if he won the Heisman or not that year. Played football.
No, he lost to RG3.
Lost to RG3 is another one. They both went to collegiate elite schools where athletes. I don't know if RG3 finished his degree, but Andrew Luck finished his degree. And I think, did he retire? Did he quit playing football?
No, football forced him to quit.
Football forced him. Even still, situations like that, you know, just the mass generalization of things is intentional. In my opinion, you mentioned, you know, Bill Nye the Science Guy, Reading Rainbow, all of those shows that wouldn't work for the recategorization that he's attempting in the tweet. You know, the kind of dog whistle aspect of it wouldn't work if you mentioned the shows that folks would be learning from. So, yeah, man, I don't know. It's shocking that, you know, even within the MAGA camp, to be as, I don't know, ignorant to post that, to not have an understanding of, you know, the people that are in the party as well with you. That was I'm like, yo, did they approve this tweet? Like, does he know? Is he still with the Republicans, or what's the deal? You know, so I was shocked by it all around. But you know, it's always a good thing when people say the quiet part out loud. The things that they're talking about behind, you know, closed doors, they get, you know, excited to say those things out loud for us to see.
Yes, we have competitive numbers against other countries. If that's the case, it wouldn't be so many people looking for jobs. The deal is the job process in itself is fudged. There are so many people that can do the jobs, can be qualified, but can't get hired. Like, that's the issue. Like, I don't know why, like, Elene, like, we've had, if we just stick strictly to cybersecurity over the last 3 years, we had so many people go out and get it started up, train, learn, lab, whatever. and they can't get a job to save their life.
Yeah. I think it's also part of the network too, though, right? And so a lot of times they'll come over, like H-1B visas, they'll come over and they'll bring their entire family over, right? And then they'll also help to bring everybody into the same organization.
Yeah.
And I think that we have that to a degree. I just don't think that we have those sheer numbers in order to really support that same type of H-1B visa network. And I've even seen where sometimes they'll come and start a job. Individual will come and start a job, and then everybody is kind of surrounding them and helping them accomplish tasks. Some of them will do their work for them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to make it like be a they them thing, but those are some of the behaviors that I think that have made them very successful within job roles.
Yeah, bro. And I think, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was about to say, I think too, you're talking about the network. When you look at kind of the top-down ideology of it, and you look at the CEOs of these major tech companies, realistically, I said this in my video earlier, it's a dotted line back to, these home countries. You got NVIDIA with ties to Taiwan. You got AMD with ties to Taiwan. You got Google with ties to India and, the uplift that they've had in terms of the H-1B visa people coming over. I've seen that as well. Indian? Yes, the CEO is Indian, and they just had, I think it was a finance push or something that they gave to increase the amount of, Indian workers straight out of high school, like being able to bypass and get to university in the U.S., being able to, because that last loophole, we talk a lot about this via nonprofit, right? That last loophole, once you get out of high school, whatever, in India, for example, when you make it over to university, that last slot is, hey, I have to get a job before I graduate or within the 3 months of me graduating so that I can stay in the country. So now Trump is saying, yo, I feel like if you graduate from a U.S. university, then you need to graduate with your H-1B visa. And that's it. That's jackpot right there, because that's the last, slot of opportunity that prevents a lot of those workers from, being able to stay over here. So I don't know, man. I think it's gonna look, a lot of ways. I think it's gonna look different, when Trump get in there. We'll see what really happened. Because at this point, in my opinion, he's a bit beholden to Elon because of the amount of money that he spent to get him in office. But we'll see how it goes. Trump don't really answer to nobody.
Yeah, and I was about to touch on something. I think it was going back into like what we talked about last week with the comments and people talking about. We talked about it before. If anybody's worked with people overseas, a lot of times you hear them say phrases like "do the needful," or you will find out that if you don't tell them what to implicitly do, then it won't be done right. And somebody just said Boeing had to find to find out when they outsourced all this work. A lot of times, like the guy up here was saying, like Korea pumped out all them STEM workers. Now, granted, Korea may be different. They got a different set of standards where their STEM workers are probably good, but just because people graduating or they're in the field don't mean they're going to produce good work or want to produce good work for your country. We've seen that where people have worked overseas and sent information back to their home states and all those different things. And you'll see a company just really pretty much demise itself from the inside. I think ADP pretty much outsourced all their networking people to like overseas, and these people didn't know how to do any of the stuff. I know this from a valuable source. And I think they had a breach like literally right after like one of my friends got a new job and he left ADP. I was like, that's what happens. That's exactly what happens. And then once you lose that brand credibility, it takes a lot to build that back up.
Yeah, I think a lot of it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think a lot of it has to do with the that we know or we hear is the cost to keep them is much cheaper. I think I saw someone put in the chat and say 2 for the price of 1, compared to, that role being paid to someone in America based on our salary standards. They can get 2 folks over there, maybe more, for the price of 1.
No, that's absolutely true. Like that was the exact point I was going to bring up too. Is that it's a business decision. It's a money decision at the foundation of it. To hire an H-1B visas versus an American citizen or American born worker is less, right? And I think that's why. But it's so funny, kind of the campaign that Trump had ran in comparison to his opposition, because he was focusing on bring America back, right? "Quote unquote, make America great again." We're gonna put tariffs in order to limit the foreign exposure or the globalistic economic exposure to our country. But yet he's now promoting, H-1B visas, which is "quote unquote," letting foreign entities out into America. So, I think it's a lot of inconsistencies. We're really at the foundation of it. Trump is trying to focus in on his best money and business interests. And if you bring in more H-1B visas, it helps to bolster the tech industry, "quote unquote," from a financial perspective where it's more profitable, and then as a result, I mean, that satisfies, Elon Musk or some of his other constituents and folk that have been in his pockets or stuff in his pockets. So, yeah, I'm right
Yeah,
there with you as it concerns the money thing.
I have a question for the panel, right quick. Relating to this, who here has ever been asked to train their replacement when they were trying to like outsource your role? Because it's happened to me before, so I wanted to see, has it happened to anyone in the panel?
Not train them as a replacement for me, but train them as a replacement for my team that I didn't know they were about to lay off. So
Okay.
I have been in that situation, and then it was kind of too late when I called on. Like, oh, hold on, this dude just moved over here to DC. Like, what's going on? Why he over here? And hold on, there's another one too. Like, oh dang, y'all laying my team off. Like, what's going on? So, but no, not for me directly as a replacement.
Okay.
I've had to come up with the documentation on how do we do this, because there was no documentation on how to do what I was doing with the company. And the person that was taking on the role, they were in the US, but they were from India. But about 98% of the team was in India. So I haven't necessarily like your replacement, but I have had to, walk somebody through, this is how you do it.
Yeah, it was kind of odd for me. I will say that it was like getting on morning stand-ups and then having to get on a call with them to, oh, this is how you do this. So and then you get the news, okay, you gotta go. They're gonna be doing the tasks that you're gonna be doing.
Yeah, the crazy thing
That's
to me
wicked.
crazy. The crazy thing to me when you consider it all realistically is remote work, and I feel like remote work in the U.S. is kind of the chink in the armor per se as a resolution to this, right? The crazy thing to me is that Elon and Vivek are in charge of the new Department of Governmental Efficiency, right?
Yeah, Doge.
But they mentioned they want to get rid of the Department of Labor. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. It's like, bro, it's right there in your face. Y'all pushing people back into the office. Literally, if you go and look at these bigger tech companies, some of the smaller startups are doing this as well. Your pay is dependent on where you live. You fall within a zip code specific pay range. The easiest thing to do would be to create some type of federal subsidy around college, right? Provide some type of element around remote work. If you could establish a certain band of employees that are in lower cost of living areas,